What's up, Copy Squad? It's your boy Kyle Milligan coming to you live from Delray Beach, Florida. And today I want to talk about your daily routine, making 1% improvements, and compounding knowledge. And this is all tied together into basically what I've been doing over the past, I'd say, month now. I've been basically hoarding all this knowledge and learning how to do all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's all kind of coming to a head. And I want to start way back in 2000 and probably 12 or 13. This is where it all began, where I read this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And back in the day, that was my Bible. Basically, what it preaches is focus on one thing, and that's like the that's like the key to extraordinary results and success. Okay, you just focus on this one thing, and you go crazy niche, and just like head down, attack one item, and that's going to give you it's going to open up the whole world to you. And I really bought into that message, and I was a big disciple of that for a long time. One of the things that I took from that book was this study about willpower, and essentially the idea is you have a finite, it's like a battery, right? You have like a finite amount of willpower every single day. And what I took away from that is basically you have your full battery when you wake up, and as you make decisions throughout the day, every time you make a decision, it takes willpower. But every time you opt to not act on some sort of temptation, that drains willpower too. So for instance, for me, I decided that the smart thing to do was to automate all my decisions as frequently as possible. I decided to do that probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I'm going to tell you, basically these are like success habits that I've developed, and as I keep compounding my knowledge, I keep seeing these things appear in different iterations across a bunch of different success and self-improvement and productivity books. These lessons keep reappearing with different words, with different authors, like in every single book that I read, and just put in a different way. So the first thing that I thought or found was I read that book way back in the day. I loved it, totally changed my life. I was like, wow, I've been trying to do everything, I need to do one thing. And that kind of got me on this path of copywriting when I committed to copywriting. This is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to be about. So that's a lot of that had to do with that. And inside that book, they talk about this willpower gauge. Okay, so for me, when I realized that every time I make a decision, it drains my finite storage of willpower, I said, screw it, I'm not making any more decisions. I need to automate all decisions in my life. And I also need to automate out of my life any things that cause me to have to make a decision. So for instance, if I love Oreo cookies, which I do, and I love chocolate chip cookies, which I also do, but I don't want to be tempted by chocolate chip cookies and Oreo cookies, they will not be in a neat little bowl right there on my counter where I can reach them every morning, or I will eat them all. As a matter of fact, get them out of my house, because then I will open the cabinet sometimes and be like, oh, there's those Oreo cookies. I don't want them, but I do want them. And he said, then I got to deal with that. That's a willpower drain. So I said, you know what? No more Oreo cookies in the house. And then I started thinking about how I can optimize my decision making into a completely automated process where I don't make any decisions. And what I found was basically coming up with a routine. So the more routine and scheduled and I want to say rigid you can make sort of like your scheduling process, the fewer decisions you'll be forced to make. And that's better, because doing your work is actually a really difficult thing to do, because you're constantly being pulled in a million and one direction. Like as soon as you sit down to write, you're going to be pulled in 15 billion different directions to do 15 billion other things that you don't necessarily really they don't help you do your work. They're stuff like I should go fold the laundry if you work from home. I should go vacuum, or I should tidy up the living room. All these things all of a sudden become like immensely important as soon as you start to do some work. So it takes a lot of willpower to basically say, shut up voices telling me to go do stuff that isn't important. Shut up and go away. You have to save all that willpower. So that's why I say, it's really important. Like I think the first couple hours of your day need to be extremely regimented. Okay, and it's funny because like there was a time like when I was like that, and then life gets in the way, right? Like things change, your responsibilities change, your role, just your people you're around or with, you travel, and all of a sudden those things sort of like start to get ebbed and eaten away and disappear. Okay, and something just before I forget, while it's on the top of my head, there's a book I want to talk about called Atomic Habits about this, but essentially never miss twice is what he says in that book. Never miss twice. Like missing your routine or whatever one day is like a mistake or like a one-off. Missing it twice is the formation of a new habit. And once you've missed twice, like that, you that's it. That's all it takes. And all of a sudden, you're not missing your old habit. You're actually developing a completely new habit, and it might not be the kind of habit that you want to develop. So all that to say, I took some notes trying to structure this a little bit. I've shared this advice with other people, and sometimes I struggle to follow it myself, but I can tell you, like, one of the smartest things you can do is get to the hard work. That's another thing. I do the gym first thing in the morning, and then I try to get straight into writing as quickly as possible. I try not to check my phone. I rarely check Facebook or messages anymore. I know I've got a bunch of friend requests and messages that I don't respond to. I even put off email. I check email, like especially like my Kyle the Writer stuff. I usually check that like once every couple days now, because I'll sit there and I'll try to answer every single one of them way in depth, and realize like this is taking away from my work, or I'm using this as an excuse not to sit down and write, because it's so much easier to sit down and answer these very general questions instead of sitting down and doing deep research and deep writing. Okay, so I preach, like, you got limited storage of willpower. I got this from The One Thing by Gary Keller, which is actually on that book. I just don't want to go grab it, or on that bookshelf over there. The One Thing by Gary Keller. You got a finite amount of willpower. So knock out the hardest, or automate as many decisions as you can first thing in the morning. Get into a structured routine where you're not doing any thinking and you have no distractions. I knock out the gym, get straight to writing. I try not to check my phone if I can avoid it at any sort of way. Sometimes messages pop up and they get me, and then they end up being on my brain, and I gotta fight that thought off and get it out of there. Okay. The next thing I want to kind of transition from this to this book I was talking about called Atomic Habits. And one of the things that he says in this book, he talks about how to create basically great self-discipline, or people who have amazing self-discipline, who experience amazing success and get really far in life, and how they're able to achieve all this greatness. He says this of people with great self-discipline is the people with the best self-discipline never have to exercise self-discipline. Again, that's like the exact same thing that I was talking about, automating decisions. What he's saying is, like, you are a product of your environment. If your environment is forcing you to be like constantly making stressful decisions, or not able to sit down and, for instance, do your work, or if it's full of distractions or whatever, then you're not going to be able to you're not going to have a focused craft kind of career. Essentially, you need to do what I was talking about. For me, I read One Thing. I said, okay, I'll automate decisions. For him, he's saying optimize your environment, which is very similar. Like, go ahead, if you want to go to the gym in the morning, go ahead and lay out your clothes. Like, go ahead and have like your gym shorts and your socks and like everything. Get it all out there. If you want to make coffee in the morning or something, have like your cup and your bag of coffee like right there. Like, basically make it as easy as possible to do the things that you need to do, and optimize your environment. So it's basically low investment of your energy to do like your basic day-to-day things, so that you can focus essentially on your craft, right? He doesn't really talk about your craft per se in the book Atomic Habits. He's mostly talking about how to form habits. And essentially, like, I think what I'm really starting to see as I hang out with as I get more access to people online through this channel, like people who are really successful, and people I've met through Agora Financial who are really successful. We're talking like 7-figure earners, people who have like online businesses, online marketing, YouTubes. These people are regular people. I think that's what's really eye-opening to me is, wait a minute. When I meet them or speak to them, it's like, wait, you say, what up, bruh? Like, you're just a regular dude. Like, you are a normal person. You're not, I mean, they're smart, they're hardworking, but they're not, like, brilliant. You know, there's very few Einsteins in the world. Really what they are they are a bundle of habits. And, like, I could get a little woo-woo about this. I've started to think of myself like this. Like, this is going to sound kind of like, yeah, like weird spiritual stuff. This is a shell. This is a body that I occupy. And what is I am just a bundle of habits. Because if you look at who I was 2 years ago, it's definitely not the same person I am today. All that's changed from then to now is what I work on every day. Every day now, I focus on my craft. I focus on improving my abilities in the sphere of copywriting. I focus on marketing. I focus on growing my YouTube and my channel. And every day, like, I sit down, now I'm trying to create more habits that will push me forward into a general direction. Like, I think that's something that's really important that he says in Atomic Habits. This is something I forgot to write down, but I want to talk about it. He says goals are basically worthless. And the reason goals are worthless is because think about when what good are goals if they have no real correlation with success? And the reason that I can say that, and the reason that he gives in the book, is think about goals. everybody has a goal to, let's say, all right, if you're playing football, right? Let's say the NFL, right? All the teams have a goal to win the Super Bowl, but only one team wins the Super Bowl. So if your goal is what creates success, right? Then that doesn't make any sense, because that would mean all 32 teams, which is it 32 in the play? I actually don't know the number. So all the teams in the NFL would achieve the goal of the Super Bowl. It isn't the goal that drives you there. It's the actions, the processes, the habits that drive you there. And that's kind of where I want to get to, like, compounding knowledge, where I keep hearing the same things in different iterations. And this idea of habits, falling in love with the process. I've been watching a ton of I've been trying to watch documentaries and movies about very famous and very successful, like, high achievers. And I watched Conor McGregor's Notorious last night, and he stressed, like, structure. Like, just get in there and put in reps. Get in there and put in reps. Go do another session. Go do another training session. Go work out. Go spar. He's trying to get as many reps as possible. And the thing that I was just talking about, which I lost my train of thought with Atomic Habits, was, goals don't matter. So the point is, everybody wants to be like the world champ in MMA. Everyone who's fighting or in the ring wants to win. That's the goal. So the goals are not very important. What they do is they simply set a trajectory, right? So I know that's the direction I want to head, and that's what I was trying to get across, is the goal doesn't make you successful. The goal just gives you a direction. You say, okay, that's where I'm going, and then you basically try to figure out what things you do every day that get you there. I've said this before, that success is not something we go get. Success is a byproduct of a couple different actions that we take every day, and this becomes like the 4 green houses, 1 red hotel concept I talked about when I did a whole video about people need to respect small victories, or they're never going to be successful. Because you can't just go buy, if you play Monopoly, if you're playing the board game Monopoly, you can't just buy a red hotel. That's not how the game is played. Instead, you buy 4 green houses, okay? And it is the process of buying 4 green houses that allows you to trade up to a red hotel. And I basically use that as a metaphor for success. Like, I don't write like a Blockbuster promo. Like, I don't write a Blockbuster sales letter. I don't write a 7-figure sales letter. I simply write every day as much as I can and put out as many promos as makes sense for my logistical situation, or as many projects as I can get hold of that are of quality. And I try to put out as many of those as I can. As a result, it's the numbers game. As a byproduct of writing copy as frequently and as often as possible, as a byproduct of being immersed in the language of sales and the language of copywriting, learning and practicing new, easy, safe, and big. As a byproduct of these things, right? Once in a while, $1 million sales letter will happen. Right? You don't if there was a magic formula to always doing that, then Agora would stop hiring copywriters. If someone had figured out that formula, they would just have that one guy just continually do it over and over and over and over. But the reason Agora has so many copywriters is because they're playing the numbers game. We are, one of these guys is eventually going to come up with one of those 7-figure promotions, and it's going to run for years, and that's the goal, right? But it is a byproduct again, and it all goes back to basically automating, coming up with the structure, like Conor McGregor says. Like, it's all about structure. So he's got he gets up, he goes to the gym, he puts in his reps, all right? And another cool thing he says in Atomic Habits, people always ask, like, how long will it take to become a master, right? How long? He said the real question you should ask is not how long, you should ask how many. How many attempts? How many reps? How many times of practice, okay? And this comes back, again, this is just another way of saying the same thing in a different way that everyone always says. They always say, fall in love with the process. And that's what that means is, again, it's about, you got to fall in love with buying green houses. You can't, having the red hotel is a great goal to have, right? But you got to fall in love with getting the 4 green houses. Actually, you got to fall in love with getting 1 greenhouse. Because in order to get 4, you had to love getting 1. And then you can get 2 because it's just 1 more, and then just 1 more, and then just 1 more. Next thing you know, you got 4 greenhouses, and you trade up to that red hotel, okay? And at the base of all this starts with optimizing your environment, optimizing and automating as many decisions as humanly possible so you don't have to think, so that when you can sit down in your chair and do the very difficult task of doing the work, then you don't have those things bothering you, okay? Another one of my very important book recommendations that I shout out all the time is Deep Work by Cal Newport. I didn't plan on shouting it out in this video. I don't have it written down, but I think a lot of this stuff is also echoed. It's echoed in all of these books, man. In Deep Work, he's basically like, look, you've got to be able to block off your brain. You can't have what he calls attention residue, where there's other things that you were thinking about, like pinging at your brain all the time, like this message you read from, I don't read messages as soon as I wake up. I don't check my emails. I try to avoid all that stuff because that stuff's going to be in the back of my head. Like, what did that guy send me? Like, do I have to get that email back to him? What about that Slack message? Am I going to have to? No, you have to have all your attention focused to do deep work, right? And again, that comes back to optimizing your environment, right? And then putting in like the correct habits. And achieving mastery is a function of how many, not how long. And that comes down to falling in love with that process. So if you fall in love with the result, this is something I talked about in like the pro versus amateur video like 2 days ago. If you fall in love with the result, you're never going to be happy. And because basically you're going to get the result, you'll be happy for like the 4 minutes that the result is there. And then what do you do now? Right? So if you fall in love with the process, and again, this sounds so cliche, but for whatever reason, it's just kind of dawning on me, after 10 years of hearing it. If you fall in love with that, then every day when you're working, you're happy. Okay? I watched Jiro, J-I-R-O, Dreams of Sushi, and at the very beginning of the movie, he says, like, you never complain about your work. You should love and honor your work, and that's like the respectable, honorable thing to do. And you should never complain, and you should just go in and do what you got to do. And this is old school Japanese culture. This dude charges $300 for a sushi plate and he's booked 2 months in advance. And that's the kind of respect for the craft and love for the process that makes him so, like, he's world famous. He's got like five bar stools in his restaurant. He's booked out 2 months in advance, and he only serves one thing, right? And it's because he simply comes to work every day and he falls in love with the process. Okay, so the next thing, studying greats. I even talked about that on accident. I've been studying the greats. Yeah, these people are extremely simple and structured. That's something I really just wanted to harness, and that's actually harp on. And that kind of brings it back full power. The purpose of the structure is to automate decision making. The purpose of the structure is to eliminate distractions and to eliminate temptation, because every decision you have to make in your day is a drain on your willpower gauge. And every time your willpower gauge is zapped, that's one less bit of energy or intellect that you have available for doing your work and doing a great job. So I think that's really important in any sector or industry or business that you're in. Like, it's why people who want to get into coding or startup go to Silicon Valley. It's why like bankers or whatever go to New York or Charlotte, North Carolina. It's like basically that's the macro environment. Like, where's the most opportunity for you? That's why all the people either go to Baltimore or Florida for the Agora companies and stuff like that. And it's like you can get around the best environment for you to reach out, bounce ideas, have someone to help you, and have support system around. And then also at the micro level, like, how can you eliminate like those distractions, like the cookies on the table when you first wake up in the morning? Just get them out of the house. Like, no matter what it is, like your job, your career, down to like your health and fitness and your well-being. Like, you can basically automate for the best results. So real quick, I'll just name off like the books I prefer to. The One Thing by Gary Keller, I talked about, as one I read like 5, 6, 7, probably 10 years ago. Atomic Habits, I just finished. I'm on my second read through of that right now. And I've been watching documentaries of greats. I watched Jerry Seinfeld, comedian. Jerry Seinfeld and ... comedian is on Netflix for free. Fantastic documentary about a true professional who just loves the craft. He comes off of Seinfeld, the biggest TV show in history, and then he goes right back into the grind of stand-up. And then he's got this counterpart, this new up-and-comer named Orny Adams, who's like, he's just the complete like contrast of Jerry's work ethic. He compares himself to others and he's like envious and he makes excuses. And then you watch Jerry, who makes like the same mistakes but doesn't make excuses, and he's always like very tough on himself, and he doesn't blame the audience, and he says like, I need to be better. Just watch those two dudes and you can kind of see sometimes sadly you'll see yourself in the young guy when you could be more like Jerry. All right. So the other thing, I watched Notorious Notorious, which is the Conor McGregor documentary. I watched that yesterday on Netflix, and that dude is like all structure, and he's no distractions. All he does, he just wakes up, he goes to the gym, he puts in his reps, and he buys nice things. He buys like suits and cars and stuff. But other than like spending his money, all he talks and thinks about is fighting. All right, and that's kind of like the point that I wanted to talk about that too. And then he said it literally in the documentary. He said structure. It's all about structure. I just remember him saying that, and I was like, a light bulb went off in my head. Okay, I got some comments. Alex, great concept with the NFL team. Yeah. Like, goals don't matter. Goals are just a direction to go. Like, everyone says, like, how can you get where you're going if you don't have a map? Or, like, how can you get where you're going if you don't know where on the map you're going or the goal or whatever? Nah, dude, it's like, you just need to have it. And I think that's where the big audacious goal, everyone talks about big audacious goals. I think that's great. Like, for Elon Musk, his is land on Mars, right? Okay, so I think that's great because, like, basically your goal should be ridiculous and far off, like really, really huge future, and then you can kind of measure your process and look at your process every day. Do I get closer to this? Elon Musk's getting to Mars. He's building rocket ships. He's sending them up and then landing them. And he can see like he's incrementally stepping towards getting to Mars. He's getting green houses, and then eventually he'll trade them in for a red hotel, right? And that's why a big audacious goal should be like way big and off in the distant future. And then you kind of look at your process every single day and measure and track. And this is kind of a video. This is all coming to because I recently got into like a huge processes mode where I was just like reading processes book. I read this book called Clockwork, and I read the E-Myth Revisited, which are both about systematizing your businesses and realizing that you got to measure to improve. And even in my health, this book, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger, where I track my macros, is really important for my health. And basically tracking my calories allowed me to improve my health and my diet and my fitness. So goals are good for setting a direction, but what you should measure is what you're doing on your daily, weekly, and monthly, like your micro stuff. And does it get you closer to that goal? If I do this, does this happen? Like, why am I going live every day? Because I can measurably see that when I go live, people sign up for the Copy Squad Inner Circle. So I continue to go live. I point it out and I say, hey, I can help you with your copy. If you want to hang out with me on Tuesday conference calls, you can join the Copy Squad Inner Circle at kylerwriter.com/squad. And then I keep going live. I keep getting signups. I'm going to say this while I'm on the topic before I forget. I think we're going to have some changes coming to this. I can tell that either we're going to need to do a price bump and move the price up, or we're going to have to do, like, it's getting bigger, and that's a good thing. We have growing pains. The last conference call was the most loaded. I started the calls were supposed to be 30 minutes, then I moved them to an hour. And the last one went on for over an hour. So I'm going to have to figure out some way to, it's a good problem to have. We've got a bunch of people in there, and I want to give everyone their due time, and I want to help everybody improve their copy. So I'm not sure how I'm going to limit this. I need to squeeze it though. I need to tighten it up somehow where I can get everyone still gets the appropriate amount of attention, but I think like the easiest, like most brain dead way to do is just raise the price. Fewer people will join. I don't know. What do you guys think I should do? Patrick says, there was an Olympic gold medalist in judo from Japan who had a coach that really focused on doing reps. Yeah, I really like that idea. And again, from Atomic Habits, it's not how long does it take to become a master, it's how many does it take to become a master. Michael says this is great. Thanks, Michael. David says, great book by Josh Kaufman called The First 20 Hours. It's about becoming good, competent at something in 20 hours rather than 10,000 hour master. Very groundbreaking stuff. Josh Kaufman, The First 20 Hours, huh? Maybe, does he have it on audiobook? That's something that's very important for me because I can smash through. Some people can't, I don't think, listen to books while they're at the gym, but that's when I get so much reading done is while I'm lifting. All right, Michael says, join the squad, folks. Yes, please do. As a matter of fact, like if you want to join in at the current rate, now's the time to do it. because I'm probably have to raise the price. I think that's like the easiest way to do it without me having to think very hard or restructuring what we're doing. And what we do is we do sales letter breakdown every 2 weeks, and then the Tuesdays in between that we do conference calls where everybody can come in and we can share copy, share your marketing stuff, and talk about like how we can improve what you're doing. When we join Copy Squad, do we get access to the old trainings? Yes, that's a really good question and a really good point, because people who are joining now paying the same price as people who joined weeks and weeks or months ago. The people who join now are paying the same price, and they're getting all the back content too. They're getting all the stuff that I've done in the past and not paying anything extra. So that's another point that could be used for price justification, not a price hike. But yeah, I mean, it's not like it's not a money grab. It really is just for like practicality, because if I do increase it, it'd probably be like, well, I don't know, maybe $10, just something to try to I don't know. This is one of those things I've never had to do. Something I'm gonna get on a tangent now. We're about to separate compounding knowledge. Here, I'll tie this to compounding knowledge. AI. I want to talk about AI. So, one of the cool skills about copywriting is you can tie pretty much anything to any other thing. I'm gonna take AI. So once a week I'll go online and someone will say something about AI taking over all the copywriters' jobs. And at that moment, so like for instance, I'm having this issue with the Copy Squad. Like, well, how do I deal with this? This is a new challenge for me. I'm running something I've never run before, and it's getting a little, big, which is awesome, right? So I have to decide. I have to make like a judgment call. Like I have to figure it out. Probably do like some research or something a little bit before I jump to like a decision just to raise a price or something. But I think it's one of those cool things that as I do more things, I have to learn more things. And that's kind of one of those things in the early bit of this video, we were talking about the more stuff I read, the more I see the same exact message with different words, right? It's always like fall in love with the process. Like, you know, you are like a product of your habits, like, and it's just said like in different ways, and it kind of comes to fruition. And when I think about that, I have acquired so much such a bundle of like raw materials of like these concepts, like knowledge concepts, that I can really understand them, internalize them in a big way. And the way this relates to AI is that through all of this absorption of knowledge and experience, I have become like a pretty capable marketer / copywriter / I mean, I can even talk on camera now. You have no idea the lump in my throat and how red my face was the first time I did this camera thing. So, I mean, we're going for 27 minutes right now. I'm totally cool, having a good time. I'm off topic a little bit, but I'm feeling totally comfortable in my skin. And the point I want to make, dude, is if you're a copywriter and you're bugging out like AI computers are going to take your job, like then that means you need to broaden your skill set. You need to either narrow down your focus and niche. So by broadening your skill set, specialize in a niche is a way to broaden your skill set. Or you need to find out a way that you can become more of the total package, where like if some machine can put a sentence together better than you become obsolete. Like that's ridiculous, man. And also, I'm not even gonna go into that. But yeah, man, I think that the AI conversation kind of bugs me. And I think really the solution is you need to compound your knowledge. All you really got to do is just absorb more knowledge than the machine has. Like the machine can just put together sentences, right? But if you have a better grip on your target market, like if you understand how to come up with a unique and compelling idea, like you win. That's it. Like when we go over Copy Squad stuff in the Copy Squad Inner Circle, I'd say 80% of the time when we look at copy on the first 2 pages of their copy, and then I kind of get through the rest. And the reason for that is, dude, they're either clicking off at your headline or within the first 600 words. If you can grip them in the headline and the first 600 words, then you're basically halfway home, right? And then the rest of it's just like knocking out objections. So it's like, if a machine just stringing together coherent sentences can beat you, then you deserve to get beat. You need to expand your knowledge. You need to consume more materials. listen to audiobooks while you're at the gym and go to the gym. It's good for you. All right. All right. So AI can't think of Nesby. Yeah, that's right, Mike. Well, maybe if you teach them, I don't know. Yeah, it's really about just immersing yourself and just compounding knowledge. So anyway, I'm rambling now. So yeah, automate as many of your decisions as possible by creating a structured environment where you don't have to make a lot of decisions. Everything kind of just either laid out for you. Like my coffee K cup is sitting right there next to a empty cup when I wake up first thing in the morning. My gym clothes are already laid out. Like all I gotta do is roll out of bed, put on the clothes, go to the gym. When I come back, I turn on the coffee, take a shower, and leave. Like there's no thought required. So as much as you can take your brain out of your day, from the time you wake up to the time you start doing your work, the better you will perform. So and I got this from like meeting very successful people and realizing they're not special. Well, they're special in some ways, but really they're just a bundle of habits, just like you're a bundle of habits, and their habits move them towards one of those big audacious goals. Their goal is just a guidepost, and they just do the same thing every day. Very successful people, if you watch these documentaries, just structured and simple people who repeat the same thing every day until they are they're fluent in it. Just like I talk about the language of copy. They're just fluent in what they do. There's no situation that they get in where they feel uncomfortable or unprepared. And if they do, they're more capable of handling it. Okay? So that's the lesson there. And one of the cool things, the people with the best self-discipline never need to use it. That was like the big takeaway. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Good book. Check it out. I'm out of stuff. I don't see any other comments or questions coming through. This worked out. This worked better than I thought it would. Okay, cool. Waiting. I'm stalling for comments and questions. I thought this was going to be like one of those awkward 8-minute ones where I wouldn't have anything to say because I had like 3 ideas and I was able to ramble. That's what I like. I like those kinds of lives. I did a live yesterday and I was like, it's not coming to me. Yesterday, though, I was still travel lag, what do you call it? Jet lagged. I was in Denver for like 4 days and I was back in town. I went straight back to work and I just hadn't caught up on sleep. My brain wasn't working. You need structure, and I didn't have structure yesterday, and I put out a live that I thought could have been much better. I had a really good lesson I wanted to share, and I could not put it together in my brain. So, structure would have taken care of that. Thanks for tuning in, Copy Squad. I don't see any other questions coming through. Get to the... All right. Thanks so much, guys. I do appreciate you. Michael says start a book club. Dude, I could. I have a lot of books that I read. I read books constantly. That's a major lesson there. All right. Peace out. Oh, yeah. One more thing. Check out Copy Squad Inner Circle. KyleTheWriter.com/squad. I can help you with your copy and your marketing and stuff. And I'm pretty sure price is going to go up soon. Okay. Signing off for real this time. Peace out, Copy Squad.